We often assume that weaker legs are just part of getting older, but the truth isn't quite that simple. One of the silent reasons our muscles gradually lose strength is a deficiency in vitamins, especially two essential ones that many people unknowingly overlook. Without these, our bodies struggle to keep our legs steady. That leads to fatigue, shakiness, and even a higher risk of falls, even during light walking or while simply standing. What makes it even more concerning is that this process creeps in slowly. It doesn't cause sharp pain, so it's easy to ignore. In this video, we're going to explore 2 vitamins that everyone over 60 needs to take seriously if we want to maintain strong muscles, move freely, and stay active as we age. Everything we cover is backed by science, explained in plain language, and doesn't involve any pills or supplements. If this topic sounds helpful, go ahead and tap the like button. Share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep bringing you more practical health content for older adults. Now, let's start with the first vitamin on the list. 1. Vitamin D3. Most of us know vitamin D as the bone vitamin, but D3 plays a much bigger role, especially when it comes to leg strength. After middle age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D naturally from sunlight. That can gradually weaken not only our bones, but also the muscles and nerves we rely on to stay upright and steady. Vitamin D3 doesn't just help us absorb calcium for stronger bones. It also acts like a signal coordinator, helping our muscles respond properly to instructions from the brain. Every time we walk, sit down, or get up from a chair, our brains send messages through the nervous system to muscle fibers. Without enough D3, that signal chain gets disrupted. Muscles become slow to react, uncoordinated, or even shaky, which throws off our balance and control. At a certain age, our bodies naturally begin to lose muscle, but what many people don't realize is that low levels of vitamin D3 can make that muscle loss happen much faster. That's because D3 plays a direct role in how muscle cells are formed, maintained, and repaired. It works on a genetic level, helping muscle tissue heal and grow after minor damage. If we stay deficient in D3 over time, those repairs don't happen properly, and we start to feel weaker even if we're eating well and staying active. Besides, D3 also affects something called parathyroid hormone, which controls both bone density and how muscles contract. When we don't have enough D3, this hormone rises and starts pulling calcium out of the bones. That weakens our skeleton and also makes our muscles more prone to cramps and twitches, which can cause unsteady legs. Aching calves and poor coordination. One study published in the journal Age and Aging in 2022 tracked nearly 2,000 adults over 65 across Europe. It found that people with vitamin D levels below 20 nanograms per milliliter were significantly more likely to have trouble climbing stairs, standing up from a chair, or walking briskly. That shows the effects of low D3 aren't just numbers on a lab test. They have a real, visible impact on our ability to move each day. Now, it's important to remember that taking more vitamin D3 isn't always better, because it's fat-soluble. Our bodies store it, and if we take too much for too long, it can build up and lead to high calcium levels in the blood. That may cause fatigue, loss of appetite, or in more serious cases, kidney stones. Not something any of us want to deal with. That's why we shouldn't rely solely on high-dose supplements. Instead, we can focus on natural food sources of D3, like salmon, mackerel, egg yolks, and fortified milk. For those of us who don't spend much time in the sun, adding these foods to breakfast or lunch is a gentle and effective way to support our muscles every day. And if we suspect we might be low in D3, the safest option is to get a blood test. That way, we know exactly where we stand and can choose the right approach based on real numbers, not guesswork. Here's one more thing we shouldn't overlook. Since D3 is fat-soluble, it doesn't just pass through the body. If we overdo it, and we're not monitoring our blood levels, that extra vitamin D3 can build up and cause calcium to rise beyond what is healthy. When that happens, side effects like nausea, appetite loss, or kidney issues can start to show up. So this isn't a case of more is better. It's about the right amount, at the right time, for our specific needs. The truth is, vitamin D3 deficiency is still very common among older adults in the US, especially during winter or for those who don't get much sun exposure. But that doesn't mean we need to jump straight into taking large pills. We can absolutely support our vitamin D3 levels through simple, familiar foods. Things like salmon, sardines, egg yolks, defortified milk, or UV-treated mushrooms are all excellent sources. They're easy to find and easy to include in our regular meals. A balanced breakfast with a boiled egg, a slice of whole grain toast, and a glass of defortified milk that's not just tasty, it's a gentle, natural way to boost our D3 levels in a sustainable and safe manner. 2. Vitamin B12. When we think about muscle strength, what usually comes to mind is protein, exercise, or calcium. But there's one silent factor that, if missing, can gradually weaken our bodies, and that's vitamin B12. Once we reach our 60s and beyond, B12 becomes even more essential. It doesn't just affect our blood, but also our nervous system and how our muscles respond to movement. You can think of vitamin B12 as a kind of bridge between the brain and our muscles. It protects the nerve coating, keeps communication signals running smoothly, and helps the body make healthy red blood cells. When B12 runs low, those signals from the brain to the muscles can become scrambled or delayed. That's when we start to feel sluggish, clumsy, or notice our arms and legs getting weaker sometimes without any clear reason. Without enough B12, the nerves in our limbs, especially our legs, begin to deteriorate, and it often happens without any warning. This leads to numbness, tingling, or even a loss of sensation. More importantly, the signals that help us move don't travel well. As a result, the muscles in our legs stop working together smoothly. That makes it harder to stay steady, walk confidently, or react quickly to sudden movements. And that's one of the hidden reasons why so many older adults experience falls, even when they seem otherwise healthy. A 23 study published in the journal Neurology found a clear connection between B12 deficiency in seniors and lower muscle mass, as well as poorer balance. What's tricky is that this kind of deficiency can develop silently over many months, or even years. Early symptoms like fatigue, slight tremors, or lightheadedness are often brushed off as just signs of aging, which makes it easy to miss the real cause. Another important point to keep in mind is that as we get older, our bodies naturally become less efficient at absorbing vitamin B12. That's because it needs a special helper in the stomach called intrinsic factor to be absorbed in the small intestine. This helper tends to decrease with age, and can also be affected if we've been taking acid-reducing medications or metformin for a long time. So even if we eat plenty of B12-rich foods, older adults can still end up lacking this vital nutrient. That's why the solution isn't simply to take more and more. It's about choosing the right sources and helping our bodies absorb B12 more effectively. Some of the best natural food sources for older adults include salmon, tuna, beef liver, eggs, milk, and fortified dairy products. These options are gentle on the stomach and, when eaten regularly, can help keep our B12 levels steady. A simple meal like a hard-boiled egg, a slice of grilled liver with leafy greens, and a glass of milk can do more than provide B12. It also delivers protein, iron, and antioxidants that support both muscles and blood health. And for those following a plant-based or low-meat diet, fortified soy milk or breakfast cereals with added B12 are also safe and effective options. However, if we're already noticing signs like hand tremors, numbness in the feet, poor balance, or long-lasting fatigue, it's a good idea to get a blood test. That's the best way to know exactly where we stand, and if a deficiency is found. The next steps should be taken with guidance from a qualified healthcare provider. That ensures we get what we need, no more, no less, and in a way that's right for our bodies. Now that we've taken a closer look at the two most important vitamins for muscle strength after 60, one thing becomes clear: leg weakness isn't just about aging. Sometimes it starts with hidden deficiencies that quietly build up over time. The first is vitamin D3, which helps absorb calcium, protects bone density, and supports smooth muscle coordination. When D3 levels drop too low, it can lead to weakness, balance problems, and a greater risk of falls. The second is vitamin B12, which is crucial for nerve signaling between the brain and our muscles. Without it, our legs can become shaky, slow to respond, or tingly in ways that disrupt daily movement. But the takeaway here isn't that we should load up on extra vitamins. It's about understanding our real needs and meeting them, not too little, not too much. The safest and most effective approach is to focus on natural foods, keep a varied and balanced diet, and get regular checkups when necessary. If today's video was helpful for you or someone in your family, we'd truly appreciate it if you hit the like button, shared it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Those small actions help us continue delivering accurate, easy-to-understand health information to the senior community in the US. And before we wrap up, here's a quick question. Have you ever checked your vitamin D3 and B12 levels? If you've got questions or thoughts to share, feel free to leave a comment below. We're always here to listen and walk with you on this journey toward healthier, stronger living, one step at a time.